Romania had grown from this to this after the First World War. It also created the Little Entente, which was backed by France. Yet, in 1940, Romania joined the Axis powers. Why was that? Why did Romania sign the Triparte Pact to become part of the Axis powers? Keep watching. Good to have you back on the channel. If you're new, I'm Stahel, I'm a Dutch history teacher and I'm hustling history for you. And if you find it interesting, consider subscribing and also hit that notification bell to join the hustle. Let's start. During the First World War, Romania joined the side of the Entente after the successful Russian Brusilov offensive in 1916. However, after this, the tide of war changed, and Romania now found itself in a very bad position. Their capital, Bucharest, was taken by the Central Powers near the end of that year, and in 1918, a peace treaty was signed with Romania. However, towards the end of that year, Romania rejoined the Entente and thus belonged to the winning team. In the aftermath of the First World War, the Romanians fought a war against the Hungarians. The Hungarians were defeated. Romania also took lands from the former Russian Empire that was now embroiled in the Russian Civil War, most notably Bessarabia. The enlarged Romanian state, România Mare, Greater Romania, encompassed virtually all ethnic Romanians. It also included, however, significant Slav, German, Hungarian and Bulgarian minorities. By the same token, Romania's leaders linked the integrity of her new borders to the maintenance of and respect for the new international order consecrated by the peace settlement. Defense of the European status quo thus became the cornerstone of interwar foreign policy pursued by all Romanian governments until the Munich Agreement of 1938. There were three bases to this policy: alliance with the other post-1919 states, which shared a common interest with Romania in opposing frontier revision, collaboration with France, the strongest Western continental military power, and support for and participation in the League of Nations, which guaranteed the territorial integrity of its members. During the interwar years, France backed the so-called Little Entente, which was formed 1920-1921, which consisted of Romania, Czechoslovakia, and the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes from 1929, known as Yugoslavia. The goal was to keep Austria and Hungary in check. The alliance would last till the end of the 1930s. After the Munich Conference of 1938, Hitler was allowed to annex Czech Sudetenland. This was a major blow to the prestige of the League of Nations, the post-World War I intergovernmental organization set up to maintain world peace that already suffered damage by Mussolini and Hitler in 1936. Mussolini by invading Abyssinia, now Ethiopia, which started in 1935 and was finished in 1936, and Hitler by occupying the Rhineland. After Munich, Romania found itself in a position of uncertainty. In April 1939, fearing Germany would seize control over Romania's oil wells, France and Great Britain, they gave Romania guarantees against foreign aggression. But looking at Romania's geographical position, I mean Romania's here, France and Britain are all the way over there, we can argue that this move was only political. It was during the 1930s that Romania started to rearm itself with Czech and French weapons. However, by 1940, both of these nations had fallen, and it was around that time that neighboring states came knocking on Romania's door for territory. Here is what happened. In August 1939, Germany and the USSR signed the infamous Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. It was a non-aggression pact where spheres of influence were decided. And on the 1st of September, Germany invaded Poland, starting the Second World War. On the 17th of September, the Soviets invaded eastern Poland. 26,000 Polish civilians were able to cross the Polish-Romanian border and make it to Romania. As you can see, back then Romania and Poland still shared a border. The eastern part of the now defeated interwar Polish state was given to the Soviets, and the Soviets annexed it. However, this was not the only territory the USSR had its eyes on. Towards the end of that year, the Soviet Union invaded Finland. However, this resulted in a severe setback. The Soviets suffered huge losses, but the Finns eventually had to back down, and territory was ceded to the Soviets. Yet, Finland did maintain its independence. Independence was not to be for Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. These nations were annexed by the Soviet Union in the summer of 1940. The Soviets also had their eyes on two regions that were still part of Romania: Bessarabia, which is nowadays Moldova, and North Bukovina, now part of Ukraine. On the 26th of June 1940, Soviet Minister Vyacheslav Molotov gave Romania an ultimatum where they demanded Bessarabia and North Bukovina. Romania turned to Germany and Italy, and their answer was that for the sake of peace, Romania had to cede these territories to the Soviet Union. And so, Romanian forces left the areas, as well as 70,000 Romanians that didn't want to live under Soviet rule. Shortly after, 100 to 150,000 Romanian Jews left to the USSR because of the rise of anti-Semitism in Romania. As Soviet repression occurred in the new acquired territories, more Romanians made their way to Romania. Tragic scenes occurred at the now closed Romanian-Soviet border, where NKVD border guards fired at the refugees and killed many of them. However, Romania would soon lose more territory because of Hungary's territorial losses after World War I. The country was basically driven in the arms of Germany. Already the year before, the country was granted 12,000 square kilometers back with the First Vienna Award, which most of the interwar period was part of Czechoslovakia, which was by now dismembered. The Hungarians knew that road to revision lay in cooperation with Germany. The opportunity to regain a part of Transylvania was created in the summer of 1940 when the Soviets took Bessarabia and Northern Bukovina. Military action seemed possible. Negotiations between Romania and Hungary deadlocked, and with Italian and German arbitration, the Second Vienna Award rewarded Hungary with 43,000 square kilometers of northern Transylvania. For Romania, this was a huge catastrophe. Hungary would sign the Italian-German-Japanese Triparte Pact on the 20th of November 1940, and Romania would follow shortly after. But before we discuss that, we need to take a look at a third neighboring country that gained territory from Romania, and I'm talking about Bulgaria. Also, the Bulgarians took a piece of Romania, Southern Dobruja. This claim was settled without much controversy. Southern Dobruja was an area of 7,000 square kilometers, which was inhabited by only 25% Romanians. The return was accompanied by the exchange of population. Romanian subjects of Bulgarian origin in the countries of Tulcea and Constanța in northern Dobruja were transferred to Dorostor and Caliacra in southern Dobruja, while the Romanians in the latter countries were moved in their place. Bulgaria also undertook to compensate the departing Romanians for their loss of property. According to the figures of the Joint Romanian-Bulgarian Commission for the transfer, 103,711 Romanians were moved from southern Dobruja and 62,278 Bulgarians settled from northern Dobruja. All in all, Romania lost 33% of its interwar territory and population. Due to these territorial losses, autocratic King Carol was forced to abdicate on the 6th of September. His son Mihai was in theory the new head of state as a nationalist government was established. On the 23rd of November 1940, Romania joined the Triparte Pact and thus became an Axis power. What was left of Romania could only rely on Germany in order to survive. In January 1941, a coup d'etat took place by the extremist Iron Guard movement, which was suppressed and General Ion Antonescu, a strong-willed professional soldier who was both respected by Romanians and Germans, was now in power. He was a pragmatist, and that's why he joined the Germans. This has also to do with German interest in Romanian oil. See, the Germans saw the Romanian oil wells as vital for their war effort. And for Romania, there was no other option than joining the Germans. And Britain, the only country still fighting the Axis, was a continent away. Therefore, it made sense to join the Germans or else suffer the horrors of occupation. Also, Germany would protect Romania against further Soviet aggression. However, it was Germany that brought the war to the USSR. And Romania joined this invasion. But why was that? Well, the details of why Romania joined Operation Barbarossa is what I will cover in the near future. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks to my patrons. You see their names on the screen right now, and a special thanks to Thomas Zabiega, Liam Devlin, Damian Wallace, Connor, Philip Jordan, Jacob Muslim, Nick Terranova, Haley, Mark Littlehill, Janis Dojankiewicz, Joanne, Justin Tabell, Tanya Dixie, Henry Clarkson, Rob Park, Andrea Martic, Susanna Di Bella, John Beach, Wayback History, Luis Pichera, Fernando Lopez Ojeda, and Mike West. I mentioned the Soviets, they took Northern Bukovina from the Romanians. In 2019, I covered this story on location in Chernivtsi, now Ukraine. So, it's an interesting story, you can check it out right here. Thank you for watching. If you want to support me, you can go to my Patreon and PayPal page, links are in the description, and Ramash Bun.